A perfectly tailored black uniform, sharp lines, immaculate fabric. The kind of design that commands attention and projects authority. An SS officer adjusting his Hugo Boss uniform before entering a concentration camp. A gleaming Mercedes-Benz 770K limousine, chrome reflecting sunlight, pulling up to a rally where thousands will chant for war. Luxury, power, elegance, evil. If you want to sell evil, you have to make it expensive. You have to make it attractive. You have to brand it. The Third Reich understood this perfectly. Fascism wasn't just an ideology enforced through fear. It was a product, carefully designed, expertly marketed, luxuriously packaged, and funded by corporations that saw genocide not as a moral crisis, but as a business opportunity. Hugo Boss didn't just make clothes. They manufactured authority through fabric. Mercedes didn't just build cars. They engineered theater on wheels. IBM didn't just sell machines. They provided the data infrastructure for industrial murder. Ford and GM didn't just produce trucks. They motorized the machinery of continental conquest. These weren't accidental partnerships. These were calculated investments. And after the war, after the bodies were counted and the trials concluded, these brands didn't disappear. They rebranded, washed the blood off their logos, and became the luxury and technology symbols we admire today. This is Dark Money Historian, and this is how corporations turned fascism into a profit center and got away with it. The Nazis understood something fundamental about human psychology. People don't just follow ideas, they follow aesthetics. They follow symbols that make them feel powerful, modern, belonging to something greater than themselves. So the Reich didn't just build an army, they built a brand. Hugo Boss received contracts to produce uniforms for the SS, the SA, the Hitler Youth. These weren't just functional garments, they were psychological weapons sewn into fabric. The black SS uniform, designed to evoke fear and admiration simultaneously, to make the wearer feel like a modern Roman legionnaire, to make observers feel both terrified and impressed. The design was deliberate. Sharp, clean, expensive looking even when mass-produced. Because fascism needed to look aspirational, needed to appear as the future, as progress, as the aesthetic choice of the powerful and enlightened. Ugly ideologies require beautiful packaging. Mercedes-Benz 770K, Hitler's limousine. This wasn't transportation, this was mobile theater, a gleaming monument to technological supremacy and industrial might. When Hitler arrived in one of these vehicles, he wasn't just a politician, he was a symbol of German engineering, of unstoppable power, of the future that fascism promised. The car itself cost more than most Germans would earn in a lifetime. But that was the point. Fascism sold the masses on sacrifice while surrounding the elite in luxury. The aesthetic contrast was intentional. You will work and suffer, they will ride in Mercedes. And you'll accept this because the Mercedes represents the greatness you're building, the future you're sacrificing for. This is branding. This is marketing. This is making oppression look like opportunity, making hierarchy look like destiny, making evil look elegant. But the masses needed their own illusion, their own taste of the luxury being promised. So Hitler gave them Volkswagen, the people's car, designed by Ferdinand Porsche, affordable, modern, the automobile that would put every German family on the road. The marketing was brilliant. Workers could save stamps, small regular payments. Eventually, they'd own their Volkswagen. A symbol of the prosperity National Socialism was delivering. The future made tangible, the reward for loyalty, except it was a scam. The money collected from workers didn't build cars for them. It funded rearmament, mefo bills, a financial sleight of hand that diverted civilian savings into military production. The workers saved. The Reich spent on tanks. The cars never came. The war came instead. But the promise worked. People bought the illusion, paid for the dream, and funded their own subjugation because the brand was so appealing, the vision so seductive. Who wouldn't want a car? Who wouldn't want to be modern? Who wouldn't want to belong to the future? Meanwhile, the actual luxury flowed elsewhere, to occupied territories, to the elite. Paris fell and became a Nazi shopping destination. Fashion houses that had dressed European aristocracy now dressed Nazi officers' wives. The collections continued, the shows went on, just with new customers. Coco Chanel, one of the most famous names in fashion, lived comfortably in the Ritz Hotel throughout the occupation. Her Jewish business partners fled. She used Aryanization laws to seize full control of her company, took what they'd built together and claimed it as purely hers through Nazi racial laws. This wasn't resistance. This wasn't survival. This was opportunism, using genocide laws for business advantage, turning racial persecution into corporate acquisition. While millions died, the luxury economy adapted, changed clientele, kept selling, because luxury doesn't have ideology, only customers. And those customers were shopping with stolen wealth, plundered art, confiscated jewelry, seized bank accounts, every item in an occupied mansion, every painting in a Jewish home, every valuable extracted from those being murdered. all of it funneling into the hands of the elite, who used it to maintain their lifestyle, their parties, their consumption. While the camps operated and the war consumed millions, the Holocaust wasn't just murder, it was administration, industrial-scale bureaucracy. And bureaucracy requires data management, record-keeping, tracking. IBM provided the tools, Hollerith punch card machines, specifically designed for Nazi applications. Each prisoner got a number. Each number corresponded to data points: ethnicity, origin, skills, medical status. The machines processed this information, sorted populations, generated lists, optimized the logistics of genocide. IBM didn't just sell the machines once. They provided ongoing service, maintenance contracts, custom card designs, technical support. Each card used meant revenue for IBM. Each tabulation meant royalties. The more efficiently the camps operated, the more valuable IBM systems became. This wasn't passive corporate presence in a difficult market. This was active collaboration, custom engineering for specific applications that happened to be categorizing humans for extermination. But to IBM, they were just data points, just customers with specialized needs, just another revenue stream. Thomas Watson, IBM's president, received awards from Hitler, medals for service to the Reich, for contributing to German technological advancement. He accepted, proudly. Because business is business. Ideology is irrelevant, only the contracts matter. After the war, IBM claimed ignorance, said they didn't control their German subsidiary, couldn't have known the applications. Standard corporate deflection, except the evidence shows otherwise. Shows knowledge, shows customization, shows profit extracted from mechanized murder. But accountability? None. The machines got destroyed. The records got buried. The company survived, thrived, became a technology giant, because corporations don't face war crimes tribunals. Only individuals do. And corporations are very good at ensuring the right individuals take the fall while the institution continues. Ford and General Motors, American icons, symbols of industrial innovation and democratic capitalism, also major suppliers to the Nazi war machine, through their German subsidiaries. Opel for GM, Ford Werke for Ford, producing tens of thousands of trucks, vehicles that motorized the Wehrmacht, that moved troops, that supplied the invasion of Europe. These weren't independent operations beyond parent company control. These were integrated parts of corporate empires, using slave labor, concentration camp prisoners working in Ford and GM factories, producing the vehicles that would be used to conquer their homelands. The irony so dark it's almost incomprehensible. And here's where it gets truly obscene. After the war, after the Nazis lost, after the camps were liberated, Ford and GM had the audacity to file claims against the United States government for damages because Allied bombing campaigns hit their German factories, the factories producing vehicles for the Nazi military. They demanded compensation for damage done to facilities that were actively aiding America's enemies. And they got it. Millions in payments because the law recognized property rights, corporate ownership. The fact that the property was being used to kill Allied soldiers apparently didn't matter as much as the sanctity of corporate assets. This is the ultimate expression of corporate amorality. Profit from both sides, supply the enemy, then bill the Allies for damages. Money doesn't have patriotism, doesn't have loyalty, only balance sheets, only returns on investment. Henry Ford himself was Hitler's hero, received Nazi Germany's highest civilian honor for his anti-Semitic writings, for his industrial methods, for proving that mass production could be applied to anything, including eventually the machinery of mass murder. Ford inspired, Hitler applied. GM and Ford profited. Everyone won except the millions who died. 1945. The Reich collapses. Nuremberg trials begin. Nazi leaders face justice. Corporations, they faced restructuring, rebranding, public relations campaigns, not war crimes, tribunals, not asset seizure, careful image rehabilitation, IG, Farben, the chemical giant that produced Zyklon B, the gas used in extermination camps, gets broken up, becomes Bayer, BASF, AGFA, separate entities, clean brands, no more association with genocide. Just pharmaceutical innovation, chemical excellence, agricultural advancement. Hugo Boss admits wartime uniform production, issues apologies decades later, continues as luxury brand. The SS uniforms become historical curiosities. The modern suits are fashion statements, the connection acknowledged but sanitized, made distant, made irrelevant to current brand identity. Mercedes-Benz acknowledges using slave labor, establishes memorial funds, continues as ultimate luxury automobile brand. Hitler's limousine becomes museum piece. Modern vehicles advertise safety, innovation, excellence. The blood washed off through time and marketing. IBM never formally acknowledges the full scope of involvement, buries documents, settles lawsuits quietly, continues as technology leader. The punch cards become ancient technology. Modern systems are cloud computing, AI, innovation. The mechanized genocide, just bad PR from a different era. Ford, GM, acknowledge European operations during the war, frame it as unfortunate necessity. Subsidiaries beyond control continue as American industrial giants. The slave labor becomes footnote. The damage claims become obscure historical detail. The brands remain symbols of American manufacturing prowess. This is how corporations outlive their crimes. They don't deny, they acknowledge carefully, express appropriate regret, then pivot, focus on current products, future innovation, leave the past as distant context, emphasize transformation, evolution, moving forward. And it works. Because consumers want to believe, want their luxury brands uncontaminated, want their technology companies innovative, not complicit, want to purchase without guilt. So corporations provide that narrative, that clean separation, that acceptable distance between then and now. The brands that built fascism didn't die with fascism. They evolved, adapted, survived, because luxury survives, capital survives, corporations survive. They outlast ideologies, outlast governments, outlast accountability, through legal structures, through rebranding, through time that makes everything distant enough to be forgiven. Hugo Boss suits don't carry the stain of SS uniforms. Mercedes luxury doesn't recall Hitler's motorcades. IBM innovation doesn't compute genocide data. Ford trucks don't motorize invasions. The modern products exist separate from historical origins, by design, by marketing, by collective agreement to forget. This is the lesson. Complicity in atrocity becomes corporate history, becomes regrettable past, becomes irrelevant to current brand value. Given enough time and proper PR, even the darkest origins fade, become trivia, become disconnected from present consumption. This is Dark Money Historian. We follow the money to show you that brands built on blood don't bleed. They rebrand. The corporations that partnered with history's greatest crimes are now symbols of luxury and progress. Do you think time and good marketing can erase any past, no matter how bloody? Can a brand's history ever truly be separated from its present? Let's discuss in the comments.